When you can accurately name the what and why, you can effectively solve the threatening aspects of the situation and change how threatening your brain perceives the event or situation to be. Hey everyone, welcome back to the three-part series of the science of stress for teachers. This is part two, solve your stressors. And this is a snippet of the Meet the Needs workshop. The Meet the Needs workshop series is a four-part workshop series that teaches you strategies that control negative thinking, dampen your fight or flight, burn off stored stress, and help you stop overthinking. To learn simple physical exercises, thought techniques, environmental adjustments, and habits that keep stress and emotional overwhelm from blocking your thinking and controlling your emotions, check out the Meet the Needs workshop series linked in the comments below. On to part two of the science of stress, understanding our stressors. A stressor is something that engages our fight or flight over and over again to the point of a consistent elevated stress response in the brain and body. For teachers, stressors are often deadlines, testing, student behavior, school culture, lack of planning. The list can go on and on. In order to reduce the effect of the event, in order to reduce the effect the event has on your fight or flight, you have to really get to the why, the reasons why the stressor exists. If you never get to the why of the stressor, you're only going to feel superficial change because you're only addressing the surface level problems. You're not going to be able to eliminate the stressor from stressing you out. This means you need to be able to accurately name the stressors and identify what specific part about it does your brain find threatening and why. This isn't all that hard. And this simple activity can alleviate the tension in your body and calm your nervous system. This calming effect, uh, this calming effect that happens to the brain is because the brain starts to recognize the stressor as a problem to solve and not a direct threat to its survival. It increases its feeling of competency. And this changes the way that your brain begins to interact with and think about the things that trigger your stress response. When you can accurately name the what and why, you can effectively solve the threatening aspects of the situation and change how threatening your brain perceives the event or situation to be. How well the brain understands and how confident it feels all influences how much of a threat something is to the brain. A firefighter doesn't find a house fire threatening. Why? Their brain understands the how and feels confident in handling the situation, thus reducing the firefighter's stress response or reducing how threatening that firefighter's brain perceives the house fire to be. And that's exactly what we'll be touching on here. If you want to fully understand how to de-stress your brain in the classroom, check out that workshop series linked in the comments. But the first thing we need to do, the brain needs to be able to accurately name the stressor. Naming our stressors. To accurately identify the stressor, we have to look beyond the superficial language and dig deep into what the stressor is really threatening. To practice this, you're going to have to get stressed. Think about teaching what Think about teaching. What brings your blood to a boil or makes your jaw clench? What is it specifically that makes you stay up at night? Pause the video and write down one stressor you have. Once you have identified that, you can adjust for accuracy by thinking and discussing the why it's causing you stress. Identify the why. Teaching is stressful, but different brains will find the same situation threatening for different reasons. The reasons for the stress typically relate to the teacher as a person and their five needs: safety, autonomy, comfort, belonging, or competency. Two teachers stressing about not getting enough planning have the same stressor, but for different reasons. The first teacher is stressed about not being able to plan engaging lessons and is upset because she feels she's doing a disservice to her students. This influences how competent she feels she can be at her job. So the brain sees not enough planning as a direct threat to her competency. The second teacher is stressed about not enough planning, but for a completely different reason. They're stressed because they need more time to follow up on student behavior, specifically with one student in particular who's becoming more and more aggressive. And the lack of planning time is compromising that teacher's need of safety. Same stressor, not enough planning, but it's threatening two different brains for two different reasons. If we focus just on the complaint of not enough planning, it limits our ability to creatively problem solve and seek available resources or help. More planning might not be the most effective solution, or it just might not be possible. We can't just give up and say, okay, this is our life now. We still have to problem solve. And knowing the root allows us to do that. So let's break down some examples. Let's say the stressor is too much paperwork. The amount of paperwork is hard to keep track of and causes a teacher to fall behind and miss important deadlines. Because of this, the teacher feels pressured to complete paperwork over doing the parts of the job they enjoy. The teacher begins to feel stifled and controlled, which is a threat to their autonomy. So the root of the stressor isn't too much paperwork, it's not feeling autonomous while at work. Let's say that the stressor is student disrespect. A teacher has the expectation that students should respect teachers and a clear idea of what respect looks like. When students don't meet their expectation, it affects the teacher's ability to build relationships with the students. This threatens their sense of relatedness and belonging. The root is not being able to build relationships, or the root is being able to build relationships, not disrespect. So, how to find the root? Finding the reasons behind your stressors can take some digging. But the more and more you do it, the better you get and the faster it becomes. I always suggest the 7 whys strategy. The 7 whys strategy is when you ask yourself, why does this stress me out? You ask and answer it 7 times, each time digging a little bit deeper, and it typically reveals the real root of the stressor. This is fully covered in practice in the Meet the Needs workshop series, specifically the workshop "The Power of Regulation" that will be happening on October 22nd. When you dig into the deeper reasons for stressors, you often find that it has nothing to do with what you immediately see, but has more to do with the brain's five needs. If you spend all your time trying to come up with a strategy on how to solve the surface level issues, it's likely another incident will just pop up after you solve the first one. And this doesn't help, it actually hinders your progress. To learn exactly how to find and solve the root of your stressors, check out the Meet the Needs workshop series. It's linked in the comments. And once you've identified the reasons behind the stressor, you can start to problem solve and work towards reducing how threatening your brain perceives the stressor to be, which takes us to part 3, how to problem solve your stressors.